Krishna. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jam Vishnupad, Paramahamsa, Parivrajagacharya, Ashtotra Shatashi Shrimad Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Hare Krishna. I just need a book. Yeah. Or a Srimad Bhagavatam, yeah. Mr. Natural. All right, thanks. I don't know if this is. I think it's the other one. Yeah. It's text. We did 50. Yeah, 51. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Thank you. So this morning we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, entitled Creation of the Fourth Order, Chapter 28, Pranjan becomes a woman in the next life. Thank you. We're on text 50. No, sorry, we're on text 51. Okay. So please repeat after me. I guess we'll wait for Ramapati to get his device. Or we got Glenn here too. It's Canto 4, Chapter 28, Text 51. 428, 51. So if everybody could please repeat after me. Tatra Purvatara Kaschit Sukha Brahmana Atmavan Santavyan Voguna Samna Tam Aha Rudatim Prabhu. Okay. Tatra Purvatara Kaschit Sakha Brahmana Atmavan Santva Yan Voguna Samna Tam Aha Rudatim Prabhu. Tatra Purvatara Kaschit Sakha Brahmana Atmavan Santvayan Voguna Samna Tam Aha Rudatim Prabhu. Tatra Purvatara Kaschit Sakha Brahmana Atmavan Santvayan Voguna Samna Tam Aha Rudatim Prabhu. Please chant. Word by word translation. Tatra, in that place. Purvataraha, previous. Kaschit, someone. Sakha, friend. Brahmanaha, a Brahman. Atmavan, very learned scholar. Santvayan, pacifying. Voguna, by very nice. Samna, mitigating words. Tam, unto her. Aha, he said. Rudatim, while she was crying. Prabhu, my dear king. Translation and commentary by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. My dear king, one Brahmin, who was an old friend of King Puranjana, came to that place and began to pacify the queen with sweet words. Purport. The appearance of an old friend in the form of a Brahmin is very significant. In his Paramatma feature, Krishna is the old friend of everyone. According to Vedic injunction, Krishna is sitting within the living entity side by side. According to the Shruti mantra, Dva Suparna Sayujya Sakhayaha, the Lord is sitting within the heart of every living entity as Sarit, the best friend. The Lord is always eager to have the living entity come home, back to Godhead. Sitting with the living entity as witness, the Lord gives him all chances to enjoy himself materially. But whenever there is an opportunity, the Lord gives good counsel and advises the living entity to abandon trying to become happy through material adjustment. and instead turn his face toward the Supreme Personality of Godhead and surrender unto Him. When one becomes serious to follow the mission of the spiritual master, his resolution is tantamount to seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As explained before, this means meeting the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the instruction of the spiritual master. This is technically called Vani Seva. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur states in his Bhagavad Gita commentary on the verse Vyavasayatmaka Buddhir Ekeha Kurunandana, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 41, that one should serve the words of the spiritual master. The disciple must stick to whatever the spiritual master orders. Simply by following on that line, one sees the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Paramatma, appeared before the queen as a Brahman. But why didn't he appear in his original form as Sri Krishna? Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur remarks that unless one is very highly elevated in loving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one cannot see Him as He is. Nonetheless, if one sticks to the principles enunciated by the spiritual master, somehow or other he is in association with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Since the Lord is in the heart, He can advise a sincere disciple from within. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, text 10. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. To those who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. In conclusion, if a disciple is very serious to execute the mission of the spiritual master, he immediately associates with the Supreme Personality of Godhead by Vani or Vapu. This is the only secret of success in seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Instead of being eager to see the Lord in some bush of Vrindavan, while at the same time engaging in sense gratification, if one instead sticks to the principle of following the words of the spiritual master, he will see the Supreme Lord without difficulty. Srila Bilvamangala Thakur has therefore said, Bhaktis tvayi stiratara bhagavanyadi syad daivena na pavati divya kishora murti mukti swayam mukalitanjali sevate sman dharmartha kama gataya samaya pratikshaha. If I am engaged in devotional service unto you, my dear Lord, then very easily can I perceive your presence everywhere. And as far as liberation is concerned, I think that liberation stands at my door with folded hands, waiting to serve me. In all material conveniences of dharma, religiosity, artha, economic development, and kama, sense gratification, stand with her. Krishna Karnamrita, verse 107. If one is very highly advanced in devotional service, he will have no difficulty in seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If one engages in the service of the spiritual master, he not only sees the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but attains liberation. As far as material conveniences are concerned, they automatically come, just as the maidservants of a queen follow the queen wherever she goes. Liberation is no problem for the pure devotee, and all material conveniences are simply waiting him at all stages of life. Om Ganadhammadandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshulan Madhitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukham Karidvachalam Pangam Nangai Tegriam Yakripata Maham Vande Shri Gurundilitaranam Vancha Kapadibishcha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So I'll read the translation again. My dear king, one Brahmin who was an old friend of King Puranjana came to that place and began to pacify the queen with sweet words. So the lamenting queen, she lamenting the death of her husband, the King Puranjana, Malaya Dwaja. Yeah, she's completely heartbroken and devastated, and right, she had so much affection for him. So then it says here in this verse that who comes by? The appearance of an old friend in the form of a Brahmin, but it's Krishna. And Prabhupada's making the point that Krishna is our best friend, and he is there with us, right, sitting right next to us, and with everyone. It's not just, he's there with everyone. He's our old friend, Sarit. And he's trying to help us over and over and over again. And yeah, he does, if we allow him. And like, for example, Brahmanda Brahmati Kon Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. So it says that the living entities are transmigrating, right, from species to species, planet to planet, in the cycle of birth and death. But by the grace of Krishna, one comes in contact with a bona fide spiritual master, and by the mercy of the spiritual master, one comes in contact with Krishna, or gets Krishna. So, so that coming in contact. That coming in contact with a devotee, that happens by the mercy of Krishna. But then, when we come in contact with the devotee, after we come in contact with the devotee, by their association, by their guidance, by their shelter, we're able to get the shelter of Krishna, get the association of Krishna, mercy of Krishna. So, for example, in trying to spread Krishna consciousness and book distribution, for example, it's important to note that Krishna is there in the heart, not only in our heart, but in their hearts as well. And he's actually, it says, right, he's guiding the movements of the living entities. So Krishna will arrange for us to meet people. And just like Vijay Prabhu had that interesting exchange recently, or the amusing, I think one of unique exchange. He said he's never had it before, but he pulled up to Ocean Beach, right, in his car, and he was just going to park, and all of a sudden some man opens the door, the passenger side, sits in the passenger seat and starts to talk to him. And then Vijay Prabhu, and then the guy realizes that, he said, I'm so sorry, I got in the wrong car. He said, my wife's car looks exactly like your car, please forgive me. So, Vijay Prabhu, okay, no problem. And then the guy got out and went to his car, then Vijay Prabhu parked, and then he went out and he told the guy that, in essence, that there's no accidents, and please take a book. And the guy took a book, right? Yeah, and the guy got a book. So, so you could say that was an arrangement of Krishna. That guy came in contact. And there's all different type. Also, like that story the other day, in a big concert, all of a sudden a book came flying. I mean, that's a pretty, you're in a concert, and all of a sudden this book comes flying. You catch the book, and you read it, you become a devotee. I mean, one of Prabhupada's books. So there's all types of different ways one could come in contact. One can come in contact with devotees, and different ways that people do. So, in other words, Krishna is helping us in our spreading of Krishna consciousness, and by inspiring people to, for example, devotees, they go to Balboa Park, right? So then all of a sudden a conditioned soul, they wake up in the morning and they think, I want to go to Balboa Park. I want to take a stroll in Balboa Park. So then that's like a desire, right? Inspired by Krishna. So they get ready, they hop in their car, and they're taking a stroll in Balboa Park. Oh, it's a beautiful day, and and then all of a sudden, they're okay, yeah, I want to walk this way, right? They're walking, and I want to check out this, and that they're walking in the direction of a devotee, right? Yeah, I'm going to walk down this little aisle here. So when they walk down, and the devotee's there, Glenn likes Balboa Park, it seems. That's his preaching field, Balboa Park. It seems like Damodar Kumar Prabhu likes Ocean Beach. I was going to ask Vijay, how did La Jolla go? Yes. Very good. Good. Nice. La Jolla. So, people walk down the aisle, and then Glenn's there. Oh, here, just a penny, right? I'm just joking. But here's a invitation card, right? Or whatever attracts a person over, and the person is sitting there contemplating. Okay, yeah, sure, I'll take a book inspired by Krishna. So the whole thing was inspired by Krishna due to that person's fortune, due to that person's piety, this and that. Now, of course, sometimes by the mercy of devotees, sometimes people just don't even want it. But by the kindness of the devotee, by the power of their Krishna consciousness, somehow they convince people to take it. That's another thing. So yeah, you could say that Krishna consciousness, it's a very mystical, mysterious, and adventurous process, and we should always see it like that. Very adventurous. Adventurous? Yeah. And simply by sticking to the words of the spiritual master, we're able to see Krishna. And as Prabhupada mentions here in the purport, not that we have to go to try to see Krishna in a bush of Vrindavan. As Prabhupada uses that. He says, instead of being eager to see the Lord in some bush of Vrindavan, while at the same time engaging in sense gratification, if instead one sticks to the principle of following the words of the spiritual master, he will see the Supreme Lord without difficulty. So, within Gaudiya Vaishnavism, there's a lot of books explaining the higher, you could say, realms of Krishna consciousness. In other words, the highest ecstasies of Krishna consciousness, the hair standing on end, crying, and all these different ecstatic emotions one can experience, and also realizing one's spiritual form and so on. And many devotees from the past and present and going to be in the future, they want to naturally rise to that platform. And a lot of the times, or in many cases, they try to do that artificially, or they try to jump the gun. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure where that saying came from. Jump the gun, but military. Yeah. Jump the gun, or they want. They shoot. Yeah. Okay. All right. Javita Prabhu said, in racing, when they shoot the gun up in the air, and then you have to wait till that gun is shot before you start the race. Not you start the race before, right? So people want to jump the gun, or they want to they want to reach a higher platform prematurely, without proper purification. So, for example, the desire for material enjoyment, that's the main thing holding one back from Krishna, holding one back from entering Vrindavan. So how are those desires removed? By the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu, which Srila Prabhupada, which I've quoted here before, but Srila Prabhupada in Los Angeles said, okay, you want you want to approach Radha Krishna, which is the highest, right? You want to experience the higher realms of Krishna consciousness, then by service to Radha Krishna, then you have to get the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And if before getting the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you have to get the mercy of Lord Nityananda. Prabhu. And before getting the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu, now how do you do that? You have to approach Jagais and Madhais. Following Nityananda Prabhu's example, he delivered the Jagai and Madhai. So, in other words, by service to the Sankirtan mission, preaching by book distribution, one purifies their heart and gets the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu, which they could approach Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which they could approach Radha Giridhari, Radha Krishna. So that's you could say the entrance to Vrindavan. And someone would say, oh, okay, well, I'm quoting Srila Prabhupada here, but Srila Prabhupada is the founder Acharya of the Hare Krishna movement. That's his stance on it. And so not only does engaging in book distribution bring one, not, provided they do it properly, to the higher realms of Krishna consciousness, but the activity of itself, book distribution itself, will give that invitation to others. In other words, okay, we're preaching, we're engaging in Krishna consciousness. This is allowing us purification and entrance into the higher realms of Krishna consciousness. And by our book distribution, we're giving people the opportunity to come to Krishna consciousness, by which they could also get that entrance. Like, for example, people, they come and they start, practicing Krishna consciousness, becoming devotees, and then they start wearing tulsi, which it's not an ordinary thing. I mean, tulsi is expansion of Srimati Radharani. I just read something by Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur the other day in this Vaibhava book. It said that Srimati Radharani, when you want to enter Vrindavan, she's the one collecting the tickets. You need a ticket to get in, and she's the one collecting them, Tulsi. So we're singing every morning to her. We're watering. We're taking care, offering Tulsi leaves on the boga offerings and so on. Wearing Tulsi, right? So a person from the very beginning is actually being introduced to very high topics and very high aspirations. And that's by the power of extending Krishna consciousness by book distribution, by sticking to the word of the spiritual master. And sometimes people may doubt book distribution, for example, or specifically this, because nowadays, and it's true, and many, not that it's true, their doubts, I don't think they're valid, but sometimes people say, well, nowadays people aren't really reading. Which, that point, there are a number of people who, unfortunately, aren't reading. They read something on Facebook. That's like their knowledge filter. It's like, they read a little bit on Facebook or whatever, some news or Instagram or something. That's kind of where they get their worldview from. But, to say no one's reading, that's kind of like, there has to be somebody out there reading. Namely, those who, you could say like the Brahminical class. By nature, there's certain persons who are Brahminical by nature. Chaturvana maya shrishtam, guna karma vibhagasha. Krishna says that I created these four orders, right? The Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishya, Shudras, and they all work differently. And part of Brahmins is they like to be studious, they like to study. So, and as Srila Prabhupada said, there's Brahmins on every street corner, you just have to pick them up. So, books will go to people who are meant to get them by the divine arrangement of Krishna. The right people get them. So, we shouldn't have any doubts. And as Srila Prabhupada, he set the example, which I found this, I thought it was quite brilliant points here. This from my spiritual master, and I'm not just saying they're brilliant points because they're from him, but I really, think they're brilliant when I read them. But he gave the example of First of all, Srila Prabhupada, our Srila Prabhupada, he met with Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur at Radhakund one time, which is the most sacred of all sacred places. And some devotees are under the impression that it was like a walk by Radhakund. But Bhakti Vikas Swami, with Adi Keshava Prabhu as being, anyways. In other words, Srila Prabhupada met with Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. It seems that I think they met at one of the Gaudiya Math temples or in one of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's rooms there at Radhakund. Yeah. It might have been. Yeah, it might have been O.B.L. Kapoor, who Srila Prabhupada told him that this is what happened, I met with him in this particular room. So anyways, based on that remembrance from Adi Keshava, there's a nice picture painted. If you look in that book, Bhaktisiddhanta Vaibhava, there's a nice picture of Srila Prabhupada sitting there in a chair with his son, and then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur sitting there, and then there was Kunja Bihari Prabhu, fanning Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So there, anyways, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur told Srila Prabhupada some of his predictions, because also Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was said to be knower of the future. Also, he could predict things. So he predicted that there's going to be fire in the mutt, which means there's going to be chaos in the temple, fighting, quarrel, all that. And there, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he started to reveal to Prabhupada, our Srila Prabhupada, that, if I knew that, I'm thinking that better to sell all the marble and print books, the marble of the Bagh Bazaar, which that temple, I went there, I've said this before, but I went there, it's like a very beautiful temple, very opulent, especially back, extremely opulent. And he was saying how before, when we were living in a small place, we weren't fighting, or the devotees weren't fighting, but now we moved to this and there's some problems. So he said there's going to be fire in the mutt, fire in the temple. So then he told Srila Prabhupada that if you ever get money, print books. And what he meant by that also is, it's included also, if you ever get money, print books and distribute them. Make sure they're distributed. What's the value? For example, we have a big BBT warehouse in LA. If we just print the books, we stack them to the ceiling, right? And we just let them sit there, dust up. So they have to be distributed. So here in this section, I'm paraphrasing some of the things that my spiritual master is mentioning here, and then I'll read something that he wrote about this. But so this is the point that I'm paraphrasing here, that he makes, that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur told him, ever get money, print books. And Srila Prabhupada then said, in many cases, he said, I follow the instructions of my spiritual master blindly. He said, I don't know what's going to happen, I just follow them. In other words, my guru told me to print books and distribute them, so I'm just going to follow them. So then my spiritual master makes a point that there's a story, of which we've heard many times, of Dr. Frog, right? PhD, Frog PhD. He was, living in a small well, and then one of his frog friends, brothers, they went out and they went to the Atlantic Ocean, and then he came back, and he said, oh, Dr. Frog, there's this huge, vast body of water, ocean. And then Dr. Frog, he's kind of, because all of his experience is just in the well, it doesn't. In other words, his experience is limited, his intelligence is limited, so the Dr. Frog said, oh, how big? And then he was, getting puffed up, right? How big? And, he was puffing. And then it said, in some cases, said that it exploded, or Dr. Frog exploded. So, in other words, he couldn't understand how big the Atlantic Ocean was. So, he's saying that, so similarly, our intelligence is limited in relation to Srila Prabhupada's, mainly that Srila Prabhupada's intelligence is unlimited, coming from Krishna. And Prabhupada makes that point in a purport. It says that the spiritual master's intelligence is unlimited in the Srimad Bhagavatam purport. So, in other words, and therefore following Srila Prabhupada's advice that to distribute books and not to doubt that, and following Srila Prabhupada's example that we should just blindly follow, not knowing the result. We should follow his instructions to distribute books. Now, here what I'll read, and then we'll end. This is like a reflection from my spiritual master. He said, recently I was on His Holiness Giriraj Swami. Recently on the airplane I was looking at the people. Maybe by Srila Prabhupada's mercy some feelings of compassion came, and I was thinking, what can we do for these people? What can we do for these people? Then I thought beyond the people on the airplane to all the people in the world. How many now? 7 billion? Is it? More. That's increasing. So many people, how to give them Krishna consciousness? Just on one little airplane there may be 300 passengers. How to get the message through to them? And I thought, the only way is through Srila Prabhupada's books. Then I understood why Srila Prabhupada emphasized book distribution, because through books his message or voice could reach unlimited numbers of persons. Therefore, the real way to change people's lives and reform human society is to give them the message of Krishna through Srila Prabhupada's books. The books are so wonderful that through them Srila Prabhupada's voice and message can be multiplied unlimitedly. A human being can speak only so much to so many persons. But through his books, Srila Prabhupada can preach to any number of persons for any amount of time and never get tired. He'll just go on and on and on. It may take thousands and millions of foot soldiers to carry Srila Prabhupada's books to every house and door, but Srila Prabhupada can go on speaking without limit. Like Krishna's universal form with its unlimited heads, mouths, hands, and legs, Srila Prabhupada also expands in the form of his books, goes into people's houses and speaks to them. He stays with them all the time, all over the world. If we have to stay with one family, we might be with them from 4:30 in the morning until 10:30 at night. But eventually we will get tired. But in the form of his book, Srila Prabhupada can stay with any number of families for any amount of time and never get tired. Even if someone in the house can't sleep or wakes up in the middle of the night, he can go to his shelf and Srila Prabhupada will be there to talk to him. Throughout the globe, it's always 6 a.m. somewhere, 7 a.m., 8 a.m., noon, 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m., all at once. And Srila Prabhupada is there at all times of the day and night, ready to speak to anyone who wants to hear him. So we are just aspiring to be Srila Prabhupada's humble servants, his bearers, carrying him in the form of his wonderful books to the conditioned souls, back to Godhead. So, we don't have to. I thought that these were brilliant points that I just read. The books are in people's homes, and they're there always. Prabhupada's always ready to talk to them. So in this way, it could expand unlimitedly. And to remember that is important, and also to keep in mind, just like here, Bhakti Stvai Stitara Bhagavan Yadisya, that for one who's a devotee, anything that is needed for their service will be provided. So anything that we need for book distribution, anything we need for our Krishna consciousness, anything and everything will be provided to us. The intelligence to do it, the facility, everything. Provided we just stay on track and provided we surrender, right, to Krishna, love and affection and the spiritual master, and provided we just keep that desire burning within us, then Krishna will facilitate it. And as Srila Bilamangal Thakur is saying here, everything, whatever, liberation, economic development, Sanskrit, anything and everything, they're just waiting there to serve the devotee. So, all right, does anybody have any questions or comments? Okay.
I have a question for Mahapati. There's this phrase, probably Bengali, describing the frog in the well logic, which is Manduka Kupa something. What is it? Nyaya, Manduka Kupa Nyaya. That's the, So sorry to deviate like that. One thing to remember when you call that, because it's a very nice example, probably uses all the time, is to mention how the puffing up was simultaneous to his guessing the size of the Atlantic compared to his well. Oh, it must be twice as big as this well. It's 10 feet. It's 15. Because that's really the essential thing. When you think, you talk about transcendental subject matters with some scientists, he's trying to figure out, what does it mean that it's 10 million miles away, Yeah. And oftentimes they discard it because of certain statements. What do you mean he has 30 trillion bodyguards? How could he have 30 trillion bodyguards? How does it fit on the earth,
Yeah.
So, but that's, I think what Zugu was saying, has 30 trillion bodyguards.
Yeah, there's a lot of things like that, right? Amount of cows or the amount of,
Exactly.
different
the dowries,
that hard to compute. Or just like, there's a huge amount of given to Devaki. Like, I don't know, I forgot so many horses and so many maid servants.
And it was more to this, I was just reading the Krishna book, the marriage, the Satya, It was 100 times more. This would end up with like 600 million bodyguards or 600 million men servants. That's men servants.
Oh, where was that?
Are you sure? Yeah.
And then there's 16.
No, but this is just dowry for one of Krishna's when he
marries his daughter.
When he did the bulls.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it was like 100 times more. 100 times more. 100. And we calculate out. It's like 600 million men servants. Okay. Yeah. Well, hey, can't. We're not going to try to estimate it by our frog in a well logic.
Yeah, I meant when he gives away his daughter in marriage. There's many things like that. 16,108 queens, and each queen with Krishna had 10 sons and 1 daughter, and I don't know. Did each one of them have 10 sons? Yeah, 10, and then it's a lot. So, anyways, Dwarka. Yeah. Yeah, it's too bad that, sometimes people give up Krishna consciousness based on such, things like that. It's, we don't really understand. Okay, let's give it up. It's just like Prabhupada made some comment, actually, said, when the 5th canto comes out, a lot of my disciples, or some of my disciples, their faith will be broken, and they'll, And that happened. Not a huge number, but some. Just like Prabhupada, I'm not sure where he is now, and hopefully, whatever, but Prabhupada had one disciple, I think it was in Purushottam, and it was really this whole, moon landing. And, Prabhupada watched it on the TV and this and that. Prabhupada, he brought in the TV to show Srila Prabhupada. And anyways, there were so many things, but there was one case where Prabhupada was there in London when Malati was cooking, and Purushottam was there, and all the devotees were there. And then all of a sudden there's kind of this big explosion from the kitchen. And then, Prabhupada comes out, all the devotees come out, Purushottam comes out, and then Malati, she had all this soot all over her face. And then Prabhupada, the voice, what happened? And I was cooking, and then Prabhupada, he looked at all the devotees, he looked at Purushottam, and he said, she just came back from the moon, and then everybody was laughing, besides Purushottam. And eventually, anyways, he went back to his home, this and that, because he was Prabhupada's personal. So he had a hard time, because Prabhupada would, talk about the moon landing and all that, how it was a hoax and this and that. But there's many things in the 5th canto that devotees have a hard time accepting, but better just to accept it. I mean, if we can't understand it, does that mean it's not true? Or give up Krishna consciousness for such a small thing?
One of the serious repercussions of that is that when devotees decide they want to go to school again, get a degree.
Mm-hmm.
And, sometimes Prabhupada would allow that, especially for someone who almost had a degree, because he had his, BI, his Bhakti Institute going on and everything. But when you get into that environment, it's very highly intellectual, and that's a very attractive thing, for someone who's really intelligent, meet with other intellectuals, even though they're not devotees, And so that worldview of how, scientific worldview is very pervasive in these universities oftentimes. And you catch that, and then you look at what, is in Prabhupada's books, and it's like, it doesn't compute. And we've had, history of that. I'm not going to name any names.
Yeah.
So there's a danger there. That's why there's no accident. Prabhupada called them slaughterhouses, because they can wreck your faith. And so that's
Yeah, great point. Yeah, it's like those the colleges are like like you say, like agnostic at best. Very atheistic atmospheres. So yeah, it's quite a challenge sometimes. Devotees may become a little bewildered. Yes, yeah.
That is the word agnostic.
Mm-hmm.
It's very interesting, when you read Prabhupada's books, that word comes up sometimes, the agnostics and agnosticism. Oftentimes they're conflated with atheism, but there's the big distinction there. As agnostic means you don't know. I don't know if there's a God or not, which is okay, Atheists are like, they're sure there's no God.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is, because agnostic and Gnostic, the word, the Sanskrit word, or the Bengali, Nastika. It's a big. It's in the Gita also. It means atheist. Not Gnostic means there is not. Not asti, right? He doesn't exist. So because it sounds Gnostic and agnostic sounds the same, Prabhupada would often use agnostic to mean atheism. But we're going to, in certain cases, we're going to have to, decide what he's really meaning, and he must be meaning atheistic. So, because otherwise, you lump people in. But agnosticism is a lot of time you're innocent. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, here, take this book.
Yeah.
Or the other ones say, I know. I'm not going to take that book. I know there's no God. You guys are crazy.
Yeah. When Ramananda Roy and Lord Chaitanya were speaking, they said, who's the most learned person, right? And he said, one who's a devotee. So. All right. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.